I don't like horror. I never have. I don't like horror books. I don't like horror movies. But what if I'm wrong? Maybe there's a horror book out there that I do like. It wouldn't be fair for me to discount an entire genre because of a few bad experiences. Let's have a look at all the horror books I've ever read. The first horror book I ever read was Haunted by Barbara Hroth Attard. It takes place in a small town near the Bruce Peninsula in the aftermath of World War I. It's about a girl named Dee who can see ghosts. Dee lives with her grandmother, who works as a midwife. One day, the body of Dee's best friend is found in the nearby escarpment, and Dee is thrust into a thrilling mystery story. I actually liked this one. It wasn't very scary. It was more of a murder mystery than horror, and the ghosts were harmless. I didn't read any horror for several years after that. Then last year I decided to give horror a shot and read Mine by Delilah S. Dawson. I love Delilah S. Dawson, but I did not like Mine. It was too spooky for me. It wasn't even that scary. It's a YA novel about a girl, Lily, and her family who moved to Florida after an incident that cost Lily's father his job. Soon Lily starts being haunted by the girl who lived there before. It wasn't a bad book, I just didn't like it. It helped me realize that I don't like hauntings. A few months ago, I decided to read some Goosebumps, because I never read any of the books, but I did watch the TV show when I was 15 or 16. I read Welcome to Dead House. It's about siblings, Josh and Amanda, who move into a new house that their father inherited from a mysterious uncle, but something weird is going on in the town. Again, this was too creepy for me, and I've seen that episode of the TV show, so I knew what was going to happen. I just don't like reading books where there's a legitimate possibility that the main character dies. Then a few weeks ago, I read The Blonde Dies First. Devin and her friend group have been targeted by a demon, but the demon follows strict rules that just happen to align with common horror tropes. It was good, not too spooky, more like the Scary Movie franchise than an actual horror movie. I think because I knew that the book would be playing into horror tropes, I knew what to expect, making it not scary. So in conclusion, I don't like horror. But weirdly, I do like thrillers. I've read a handful of thrillers and have enjoyed them all. 2 years ago, I read Into the Drowning Deep by Myra Grant. It's about killer mermaids, and I loved it. I liked it so much that I then decided to read the earlier novella by Myra Grant that inspired Into the Drowning Deep, Rolling in the Deep. The events of Rolling in the Deep are referenced in Into the Drowning Deep, but it's really not necessary to read them in order, or even to read both of them. I've seen a review of Into the Drowning Deep that said it was too slow, which is the fair criticism. The pacing didn't bother me, but if you're someone who likes a faster-paced book, then Rolling in the Deep would be the better option, if you can find a copy. If you prefer more character development, then I'd recommend Into the Drowning Deep. It also has some good disability rep. One of the main characters is autistic, 2 of the characters are deaf, 1 of the characters suffers from chronic pain and has mobility issues. I've also read Guillotine by Delilah S. Dawson, a delightful story of bloody revenge. I also really enjoyed it. I think because the perpetrators were people and not some supernatural entity, and the victims were massive assholes and kind of deserved what they got, it made it less scary. Next, I read The Violence by Delilah S. Dawson. I went through a phase last year of only reading books by Delilah S. Dawson for a month straight. The Violence follows 3 generations of a family, Chelsea, her mother Patricia, and her daughter Ella. There's a new virus that makes people black out and commit acts of violence. They must now navigate a new world where anyone can attack you at any time for absolutely no reason. Chelsea must escape from an abusive relationship, heal, and learn to be independent. Patricia must learn to stop keeping people at arm's length and let herself love her family. and Ella must avoid repeating the mistakes her mother made and break the cycle of abuse. I really enjoyed this one. It's such a good story of healing and strength. And then there's It Will Only Hurt for a Moment by Delilah S. Dawson. It's about a woman, Sarah, who leaves an abusive relationship and attends an art residency held near an old health resort to get a fresh start. Early into her stay, she digs up a coffin buried when the resort was still open 100 years ago. Soon, weird things start happening at the residency program, and Sarah works to uncover the truth about what was really happening at the resort. This one was a little spooky, but the spooky stuff was happening to other people, not Sarah, so it didn't bother me to read. I also just really like Delilah S. Dawson. She's so good at writing about healing from abuse. I don't think it's categorized as thriller, but Bad Creep by Jessica Johns has supernatural elements and is really good, so I'm going to give it an honorable mention. All that being said, I'm going to keep trying to find some horror that I like. I already have 2 more horror books checked out from the library and a 3rd on hold, so wish me luck. What do you think of the horror genre? Leave me a comment letting me know. Also, you should read some Delilah S. Dawson, because she's one of my favorite authors and I think her books are great. If you like the video, please hit the like button. Thanks for watching and have a good rest of your day.